At its core, this series is less about romance and more about knowing yourself, valuing yourself, because if you don't do it first, others won't either. It's about the fear that parts of who you are won't be accepted by the people you love the most, especially your parents. That's why this story isn't just asking who do you love, but what is love, really? Is it possession, control, manipulation? Or is it care, forgiveness, and the choice to stay? The biggest problem with poisonous love is its beginning and its ending. But we'll get there. Perfect heart surgeon Dr. Prem is about to get married. But Pat, a beautiful villain actress, ruins the wedding when Prem's seemingly nice groom gets Pat's close friend pregnant. That moment is enough for Dr. Prem to immediately dislike Pat. What she doesn't know is that the sweet person she shared a stolen kiss with, right after her bachelorette party, was none other than Pat herself. As for Pat, she falls for Dr. Prem at first sight. And from that point on, she does everything she can to get Dr. Prem's attention. Mark my words. She literally tries everything, with absolutely no limits. Spoiler alert. From this point on, this video contains spoilers. I wouldn't say poisonous love is an enemies to lovers story. Pat never saw Prem as her enemy. Actually, as I said before, she fell in love with her at first sight. The problem is that Pat has a very questionable way of trying to win someone's heart. So yes, the first poison is Pat. I can't stand the fact that in the very first episode, Pat gives Prem a hickey while Prem is unconscious, and that was literally the first time they had ever met. Later, they meet again while Pat is working, and Prem is on a trip trying to relax. At that point, Prem is already dealing with her fiancé cheating on her and the wedding being cancelled. At the pool, Pat tries to get closer to Prem, even though Prem clearly tries to stay away from her. A few days later, Pat takes her mother to a medical appointment with Dr. Prem at the hospital where Prem works. And she does that just because she wants to see her. Even Teacha, Pat's own friend, tells her that this is the wrong way to try to win Prem over. But Pat doesn't see any of this as wrong, so she keeps going. Her next move is moving to a new condo. And guess which condo she chooses? Exactly, the same condo where Prem lives, on the same floor. Because Pat not only knows where Prem works, she also finds out where she lives. So, is Pat a stalker or not? You tell me, and Pat's red flags don't stop there. She later forces a kiss on Prem inside an elevator and tells her that she will win her over. And yes, after all of this, we do see Pat taking care of Prem when she's sick. We see Pat trying to build a healthier relationship with communication. Later on, she does show some green flags. But we can't just ignore how all of this started. Think about it. If Pat were a man doing all of this to Prem, the hickey while she was unconscious, moving into the same condo, the forced kiss in the elevator, would you really think this is correct, healthy, or even safe? Moving forward, the second poison is Nam. Nam is Pat's friend and the woman who was involved with Prem's fiancé. Pat has liked Nam since school, so this was never just a crush. She truly loved her as more than a friend. And honestly, falling in love with your straight best friend is one of the greatest tortures on earth. When Pat finds out that Nam likes Thawat and even got pregnant by him, she decides to follow her friend Teacha's advice and move on from Nam. From that moment on, Pat's eyes can only see Prem. That's when Nam starts her manipulative game. She tries to split Pat and Prem apart because the friend who was always by her side is finally moving on. And Nam feels like she's about to be alone, like she has no one else in her life. Deep down, she knows she can't truly rely on Thawat. So Nam insists that Pat shouldn't leave her. She knows Pat too well, and she uses that to play with her emotions. Nam tries to make Prem believe that Pat still loves Nam as more than a friend. She tries to make it seem like they're together. She even tells Prem that Pat belongs to her, not to Prem. It reaches the point where Nam actually tries to hurt Prem. So, is this love? I say no. This is fear of abandonment. Not because Pat was really abandoning her, but because Nam felt abandoned. And that feeling clearly comes from deep scars, probably from her past. that she never dealt with. Nam needed mental health support and proper treatment, especially because it's also obvious that she doesn't love herself. She keeps trying to stay with Thawat, even knowing that he doesn't love her. He doesn't care about her at all. Even when she gets pregnant and loses the baby, he only cares about sex. He literally tells her that he's with Prem because she's a doctor, because of her money, her social status, the things Nam doesn't have. And unfortunately, in the end, we see Nam repeating the exact same pattern. She gets involved with another man who already has someone else, and she stays trapped in this cycle, suffering over and over again, until the day she finally looks inside herself. I believe Pat and Prem portray how damaging parents can be, even though parents are supposed to be the ones who protect you the most. Parents don't always have to agree with their children's decisions, but they do need to support them and respect them. And among all the Thai GL series that use the family or parents trope of not accepting the main couple, this is the one I relate to the most. Because it's not like other GLs where parents physically stop their daughter from seeing her partner. It's not something obvious like slapping. Here it's deeper, it's emotional. Most of the time it's psychological violence, manipulation. And to me, that's the most dangerous kind. Because when someone keeps repeating the same thing, gaslighting you into believing you're wrong, telling you that you're hurting your family, that you're damaging the family's reputation, one day it becomes hard not to believe it. Even when you fight against it, even when everything inside you says it's not true. So guys, I'm not an easy person to cry. In heartbreaking GL scenes, I almost never cry. That's why I still can't believe this series made me cry. The breakup scene between Pat and Prem, for me, is one of the best scenes in Poisonous Love. In terms of acting, script, and camera work, their lines, their tears. The camera focused on their faces, and the emotional weight of what they were going through. It was impossible for me not to cry. Because, as I said before, Prem's parents' storyline really hit me. Especially because I had never seen a couple fight so hard against their parents just to be together. The way Pat and Prem did. Until they simply couldn't handle it anymore. And this is why that scene matters. It shows that Pat gained maturity. She accepted the breakup. She respected Prem's choice. Instead of doing everything possible just to stay with Prem, like she did at the beginning of the series, when she tried everything to win Prem's heart. And at that moment in the story, she finally understands something important. Sometimes letting go doesn't mean you don't love the person. After Pat has a car accident because of her heart condition and Prem faints from the shock, Prem's parents decide to tell her that Pat died in the accident. What kind of parents do that to their own daughter? Prem's parents' love is the real poison here. To me, they are the kind of parents who care more about their daughter following their rules and staying under their control than about letting her be happy and free. And unfortunately, parents like this exist in real life. Parents who don't see their child as an individual human being, but as an extension of themselves. Parents who expect their children to fulfill their own dreams, to become what they couldn't be in their own lives. But in Poisonous Love, after seeing the level of suffering they were causing their daughter, they finally come to their senses. They realize the imprudent thing they were doing. Still, Prem's parents' redemption arc feels out of place. Yes, it's okay to make a mistake, regret it, ask for forgiveness, and learn from it. But here, everyone forgives them immediately, without questioning, without reflecting, without really talking about what they did wrong. And this wasn't something small. They didn't just take her phone or lock her inside their house. They made her grieve someone who was still alive. They pushed her to the point where she no longer wanted to live. And that is when they stop. I haven't even talked about the fact that Prem is an adult. She has the right to live her own life and make her own decisions. But maybe in Thailand, this dynamic is different, right? Because family, especially parents, seem to have a lot of control over their children's lives, and this trope appears in many GLs. The saddest part is the unconditional love Prem has for her parents. It's okay for her to forgive them, but not immediately. Not without recognizing and talking about the harm they caused. Prem couldn't do that because she couldn't understand something very important, that it's possible to love someone, and at the same time, feel anger, sadness, hurt, and disappointment toward the same person. In this case, her parents. Or maybe it was just lazy and careless writing, focused only on finishing the series with a happy ending. If it weren't for the special episode, I would probably be left with only a bad image of poisonous love in my mind. The beginning, with Pat being toxic, and the ending, with Prem's parents, were awful. But the special episode closes the story in a way that leaves your heart warm. We get to see the characters grow. Like Bo, finally committing for real to her relationship with Sita, instead of being a player like always. We see the friendship between them, Prem and Pat. And we see Pat and Prem just living a normal life, if we can call it that. Post-marriage, doing house chores together. And after the final episode and the special episode, what really stays is this idea. Love alone is not enough to keep two people together. Not only romantic love, but friendship too. If we don't choose each other, if we don't take care of each other, if we don't pay attention, if we don't try to do something different, if we don't say sorry, and if we're not present, how can love alone carry all of that? And one last thing. Love should never be about possession, control, or manipulating someone to get what you want. Instead, love is about respecting the other person's choices, about communication, about trust. It's about not letting your insecurities and negative thoughts take control and damage your relationships. Honestly, this series is not on my list of favorite Thai GLs. Yes, Poisonous Love has its own singularities. It shows different kinds of love. Through Nam, Pat's friend. Through Thawat, Prem's fiancé. Through Prem and Pat's parents. And through Prem's friendships. But overall, the plot is very similar to other GLs. A woman falls in love with another woman for the first time. In this case, Prem. She realizes she likes women. She has to face a family that tries to separate them. In the end, the family accepts the relationship. And then, marriage. It's not that I dislike marriage or happy endings, especially when I'm used to watching Western lesbian series where couples don't get a happy ending, or literally die. But when this trope appears so many times, it kind of loses its magic. Still, I don't think watching this series was a waste of my time. I did enjoy some moments. And that matters, right? If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. For new updates and more analysis, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss anything. And remember, everyone is allowed to have their own opinion. See you around.